Good. I mean, most people have been invited by Clarissa and myself. There are a few people who have come in via the Eventbrite or some of our team members. So if you could use the chat function, and just let us know who
Hi.
you are. Hi,
Hi.
Monica, uh, and Gosha, and hi, Wayne. Nice to meet you officially. Um, and yes, please do use the chat function to say who invited you, if you have a Thermomix, what model, where you are in the country, because we do have a lot of people that are London based, but also um, uh, elsewhere. And we have about 15 to 20 people registered, so I'll just wait for people to come online and um, then we can explain uh, what's going on today. Hi, Petra. Hi, Cynthia. How are you doing?
Okay, thank you.
Good, good. So nice to see you. Um, Lovely. And it's today I did a demo this morning. Then I drove to Bishop Stortford to go for lunch to meet a friend. And it was such awful weather. And I thought, thank God we're doing a soup class today because it's just perfect for this miserable, miserable weather. There's nothing better than a Thermomix soup in this environment. So brilliant. Okay. So no one is waiting in the waiting room. So I will um, just introduce Clarissa and myself. Clarissa is a relatively new team leader, joined us in summer of last year.
Yeah.
Um, Very interesting enough when her baby was 4 weeks old. Um, so the it's quite amazing at the Thermomix business opportunity that we can join at any time, and we are all self-employed. But because we are a team, it's really lovely to work together and support each other in this journey. So, the idea behind tonight is I have actually quite a new team, and very many of them haven't done online demos before. And the people on this call today, some are brand new users like Gosha and Wayne. Others have already bought and had Thermomixes, perhaps the previous models. I'm going to say, Cynthia, you're one of my long-term clients.
I
How,
know I've
which,
been around for a long, long time. I've worked my way through three film mixes so far.
yeah, so we started with TM31
That's
or was it
that's right.
5?
31.
31, yeah, there you go. Like me. So almost as I was going to say, old as Prue Leith. Have you seen the recent article where Prue Leith has said that she has the 21 and Volvo have tried to gift her the TM7, and she said, "No, I don't want it. Mine still works absolutely fine." So it does show that when you buy quality, you don't need to upgrade. But like anything, and I always use it like a phone, you don't need the latest phone, but the new one is better and it is just better. So welcome everyone, and I think most people are here. So while we just wait for a couple of more minutes, has anyone used the chat or not? No, it's fine because I think I recognize most of the names as well. Welcome Fiona as well, who is in my team and watching. So Fiona, I might just ask you to also pitch in if there's a chat message that we miss as well.
Great, can do that.
That would be really helpful. We are going to be recording this session because I do tend to put these on YouTube. But don't worry. Once we start, when I say we're going to start, the only thing that's recording is what's in green, which is me. And then I will spotlight Clarissa. So feel free to keep your cameras on because then it's quite nice for me. My view is where I see all of you. And I do like to see the oohs or the ahs or the I can see a question coming up. So I will do that. So I think we are almost all here, and most people have their cameras off except a couple. And I'm going to say yes. Hello, Raquel, as well. Lovely to see you, and Petra. Welcome. So, okay. So essentially, this is where I'm going to stop the recording. Um, and just welcome you all again. Okay, welcome. Okay, so welcome to our first online class of 2026. My team and I have actually said we're going to put a class on weekly, if not fortnightly. So today is Thermomix Soups. Next Monday, I have a chef on my team who's actually going to do Thermomix healthy snacks and desserts. So that is really wonderful. Okay, I can hear a little background noise. So if you don't mind muting yourself, that would be really lovely. And then we will take questions once the demo is done. Yes. I think someone called Axe Micron is in the background. Let me just see if I can mute them. Let me make sure. Let me see them all. Who is that?
I think it might be Felicity Ankita because that's highlighting in green every time there's
Oh, is
background.
it? Okay, there you go. Hi, Felicity. Thank you so much. That's so much better. Wonderful. Okay, so we're going to start off with Clarissa. And she is going to make our classic tomato and red pepper soup. Now, for many of you who have seen face-to-face demos, you will know that this is our Thermomix Wow recipe that we do both for domestic and commercial Thermomix demonstrations. Because you can see the grinding of the lentils, you can see the chopping of the onions and peppers, the cooking, and then the blending function as well. So it's an all-in-one soup. And the reason why it's such a wow factor, I apologize for people when we're doing online because you can't smell the beautiful sautéing of the onions and peppers. But normally, when you would do this recipe, you are, roasting red peppers and peeling off the skin, and maybe blanching tomatoes as well. But with this, you don't need to do it at all. And because she's doing a blended soup, I'm going to do a chunky soup. So I'll pass it over to you, Clarissa.
Thank you very much, Ankita, and lovely to see you all joining online. So yeah, this is the red pepper and tomato soup in Cookidoo. I'm going to make 4 portions, so I'm going to click start now. And so the first thing we're going to do is grind some lentils, as Ankita said. One of the reasons why I like this recipe is because you've got some protein from the lentils, but then you've also got the sort of thickener, like natural thickener from the lentils that makes it really healthy, but makes it also quite filling, which is nice at this time of year. So I'm going to weigh in 40 grams. And whenever I do this, I like to do a little game to see how on the mark I can get it. So let's see. I'm at 13, 14, 28. 36, 38, 40 exactly. It's brilliant. But it's okay if I go over a little bit because there's always some like room for a bit more than you needed. So I'm going to tick that off. My lid is on, so that's going to grind now for 20 seconds at the very highest speed.
So the beautiful thing about Zoom, you don't hear the noise or the power, shall we say, because it kind of mutes it naturally. But I mean, grinding your own flours is a game changer in the Thermomix.
So that's done now. And it's funny, even my son was present for the demo when this was going, and he didn't even wake up or anything. It wasn't too bad. But we've gone from having lentils, whole lentils, to this lovely powder. So the next step it says is to transfer this to a bowl and set aside. So I've got a little dish that I'm just going to pour that into, like so. And that will suffice for me to set that aside for later. So if I put the bowl back on and go to the next step, it's now asking me to put in garlic, onions, red pepper, and olive oil. I think we've talked about this before, Ankita, that whenever it says put in 2 cloves of garlic, to us that means put in at least 4. So that's what I'm going to do because I
Yeah,
like some flavour.
absolutely. I mean, the beautiful thing about guided recipes and Cookidoo is for people who don't know how to cook, or it's a new cuisine or a new recipe, it's nice to follow the recipe as it is. But the more you get used to Thermomix and the more experienced you are, or if you know your own palate, it is very nice to adapt recipes. And yes, yeah, there's never enough garlic in my life.
Absolutely. So now I'm going to add in some onions. All I've done is I've chopped them in half. The recipe says quartered, but as I've done this recipe more and more, I can actually get away with just chopping it in half. And let's face it, the less we can spend time cutting onions with a knife, the better. So let's pop that in and see how much we've got. So that's about 60. That will do. And then in terms of red pepper, I need 200 grams. So I'm just going to pop in just some quartered pepper. And actually, I need a little bit more pepper, which is fine. I'm just going to quickly give that a wash. One of the
And
things I find really helpful is that sometimes I have a tendency to forget how much of one thing I should put in there. So it's nice that the recipe reminds me so I don't,
absolutely. And I
yeah,
think when we're cooking something like soup, I know this was, 50 grams of pepper or onion, 200 grams of pepper. I'm just one of those people who I put a small onion and I put 2 red peppers. And if it's more or less, so be it. Because you're not going to keep, a quarter pepper in your fridge. It's real
exactly.
cooking.
Yeah, so I've just added another pepper, and like you say, Ankita, it's 246 grams rather than 200. A bit of extra pepper
Exactly.
would, yeah.
Live
And then,
dangerously.
exactly, yeah. And so now it's 50 grams of olive oil. Um, Again, my husband is Italian, and that's actually how I found out about the Thermomix. It's so popular over there. We tend to add extra olive oil. So I'll save that for the very end of the soup recipe. So tick that off. And now, as you can see, everything's in the bowl, ready to be chopped. We're only going to chop for 2 seconds at half speed and see what that gets us. All done. The sound I love to hear. And so we've gone from having all those ingredients to some nice finely chopped pieces of veg, which will be much easier to saute, which is the next step. And now we're gonna, it says to scrape down the sides of the bowl, so I'll just do a little gentle scrape. Nothing fancy. And then we're gonna saute for 5 minutes. So that's cooking now, it's gonna reach 100 degrees and it's just doing a slow spin around inside. Again, you can't tell because of Zoom, but I can't hear anything. That's one of the things I loved about this model. Because fun fact, actually, I got introduced to Thermomix probably about in 2018 or so when the TM6 was just coming out. My boss at the time, who was also Italian, was like, "You need to get it, you need to get it." And I saw it and I thought, "Oh, this looks interesting." But yeah, like Ankita said, when my son was about 3 weeks old, I saw the TM7 and I heard how different it was. Because my sister-in-law actually had one of the old models. It was about 30 years old and still
Oh,
worked.
wow.
Yeah,
But
and
I'm going
yeah,
to say that. So for some of these people on the call, because they are my clients and have previous models, um, it is still quiet. And you say you had a 3-week-old baby. I remember in December 2011. So my son is born on the 9th of December. So clearly I took a couple of days off before he was born because I was just too fat and bothered to be doing any demos. But he was the second baby. He just popped out. And by about the 15th of December, I still had clients wanting to see demos. And our business model, as most of you know, is that we go to your homes to do a demo. These are the days before Zoom and COVID and hybrid working. But I was saying to people, well, I've just had a baby, so can you come to me? And he was days old and he was sleeping in a Moses basket, and I was still chopping and grinding. And people were saying, well, gosh, the newborn isn't awake. And I'm like, no, because it's so it's so powerful, but also so quick. Even your grinding of your lentils, it's done in seconds. It's not doesn't take 5 minutes of grinding that it's going to bother a sleeping baby, a barking dog. It's just so quick and convenient that you do get away with it. And it is one of those things that, like Cynthia, who had a TM31, I think Raquel probably had a TM31 as well. Um, it is literally the best thing you can buy and invest in. And you don't need to upgrade, but every model that comes out is better. And it's the frustrating thing for me as an advisor because I'm like, I loved my TM6. And then the TM7 come out. And obviously, for people who can see it, it's a different shape. They went black. And the reason they've gone black is because it's now 40% sustainable using recycled plastic, which in this day and age is so important to be more um, uh, true. And yes, there you go. Raquel, which one was yours first one, the 31 as well? I think so. Yes, and you don't, they are just, they get better. And at first, I have to say, I thought this just looked like a blender, which I shouldn't say that, but I'm independent, remember? Always tell you the truth. But I love it. I love the big screen. I love the fact that and I'm just going to show you mine while Clarissa is still cooking. But obviously, for those who have previous models, we had a bowl and it was fully, silver. Whereas this one, you basically have the bowl sits inside this insulated plastic sort of jug. And the beautiful part about that is that it's the same size bowl as the TM5 and the TM6, so it's 2.2 liters, but that casing means that it's quieter. And like you say, up to speed 2, you can't even hear it. So the most shocking part of um, the demonstration or even cooking for people who have done upgrades is we keep listening and going, is it on? Is it cleaning? Because you can't hear it. You can't hear it at all. And that's quite nice, especially for someone like me who likes to bake at midnight. Um, which is there. But how long have you got now, Clarissa?
Yeah, it's done.
It's done.
Okay.
Okay. So
Yeah.
next step.
Step, yes, is to add in. So it's asking for ripe tomatoes, but then also in the recipe it proposes an alternative. So it says you can use tin chopped tomatoes cut in pieces. So I've just got some bog standard chopped tomatoes, about 400 grams. So I'm just going to whack that in there. It's easier to just keep stuff that's about tinned or something like that. And then it's calling for 400 grams of water. So I'm just going to fill the same container that had the tomatoes. I picked this trick up on the demo that I had. And so that will add about 400 grams of water as well. Now, this is where it gets exciting for me because recently I made my own salt-free veg stock so that my son can also have this soup as well. So we're doing weaning. So it says to put a heaped teaspoon. Smelled lovely as it was being cooked yesterday in the Thermomix. That was very easy too. So I'm adding my own homemade stock paste. So now I add in the reserved lentils. So I'll just pop that inside as well. And then for the seasoning, it says you can add salt, a teaspoon. I'm not going to put salt in it. I'm going to put brown pepper though. It says for half a teaspoon. We can always season to taste afterwards, but I'll put in a dash and then see how we go. And it also suggests that you can add some cayenne pepper, like a quarter teaspoon. But again, you can just season to taste as you want to. I just want to get cooking. So that's now going to cook for 14 minutes, 100 degrees. And again, it's just stirring away. So I can this is usually where I step back, play with my son or listen to some music and just have a bit of a break from the kitchen. So over to you, Ankita.
Thank you. And yes, and that is the huge benefit of hands-free cooking when you're doing that. So it's interesting. Clarissa's soup is going to cook, and then we're going to blend it to make a blended soup. And you're going to see how creamy it is without actually any dairy. So I thought I would do a chunky soup. And I'm kind of leaning into cooking more creatively these days. And as many of my clients know, my husband's actually Polish, and we've been married 23 years now. So one of my favorite soups is actually the cucumber gherkin soup. So I have actually put both of the recipes that we've cooked today in the chat, and I will be emailing everyone who registered the recipes as well. But it's automatically very important that we know that we can adapt recipes. Now, when Cookidoo recipes are put onto Cookidoo, they are generally recipe tested in the home country at least 10 times, and then every vulva country at least 3 to 10 times to see if you can replicate it in those countries. So, for example, if you've got a Singaporean recipe, they're going to test it in the UK to see if you get the same spices or what alternatives there are. But it was very interesting because my husband said to me, what are you making today? Because obviously we get to eat the food after the demo. And I said, I'm making the gherkin soup. And I said, but you know what? The Cookidoo recipe has chicken in it. And his face was just ghastly. And he said, you're not putting chicken in it. And I laughed and I thought, well, hold on a second. This is a tried and tested Polish recipe. But like anything, it might be tried and tested, but different families, different regions do different things. So I am not going to put my the chicken in it, and we're going to go veg. But it also shows that the recipes are adaptable and you don't have to make what it is. Now, like Clarissa and I said, today is just, experiencing different things. It's not a full demo. And to the point where I have actually pre-cut and pre-measured my ingredients as well. So, but the wonderful thing is you can see obviously the nice big screen, and because it's too far away for you to read, we're gonna kind of do that with you. So I think my first, I'm going to actually restart the recipe because I think I was doing that. My first step is pickled gherkins, and it's cut in 2 to 3 centimeter pieces. So I've already weighed 250 and cut them. So we're going to put them straight in there. Press next, and it's going to chop for 4 seconds. And interesting enough, with the TM7, when you put the lid on, suddenly the green light means that you can press and start. So we're going to press and start. Press next, and then it says transfer to a bowl. So you can see what I have, and I'm just going to grab my spatula and transfer it. And this is one of the reasons I love Thermomix. It's not just the quick cooking of, meals, but it's that creativity of 100,000 recipes that you have at your fingertips. And the different cuisines and cultures you can make. So next is a small onion, so 80 grams. So again, I didn't measure this, and let's see how much I really do have. 50. But am I going to go and get another one? No, it's fine. And we're going to chop it. Press next. So again, you can see how easily and how quickly that has chopped. And again, we want to scrape down. And then it actually says unsalted butter, but I'm going to change things already. I'm trying to be slightly healthier this year. It's January, everyone's tries. And I recently made ghee. So I don't want to use butter. I'm going to use homemade ghee. And that was 19 grams, but I still have some on my spoon. So just throw it in. Press next, and we're going to saute and press play. Now, the wonderful part about this is while this is sauteing, I can actually look at the next steps, and the difference between the TM5 and 6, where your screen was going left to right. With the TM7, they've kind of gone for phone technology, and you go up and down. And so the next step says add 100 grams of mixed vegetables, and it gives you suggestions. So it's carrots, parsnips, or celery cut in pieces. So I have that here. I can then go, and then we're going to chop. And that's where step 11 is asking for the chicken, potatoes, stock, and seasoning. So instead of the chicken, I'm just going to add the potatoes. And actually, it was only 130 grams, so I don't know what his problem was. It wasn't that much. But, we'll be authentic to his mother. And then the nice thing is, even if you go ahead, at the bottom of the screen, which you can just barely see, there's a little black, it says back to current step. So even if you're going ahead, you can go back to the current step. And this is where I really feel for people online, because I can smell it. the beauty. There's nothing better than a sautéing onion, and that smell to entice us. And we have 1 minute to go. But it's very interesting for me to be able to make all of these different foods from different countries. It has been a real game changer in the kitchen. Have you experienced that as well, Clarissa?
Yeah, I'd say so too, because like I mean, yeah, usually we'd get, delivery from all different types of cuisines, like Japanese or Thai, also, yeah, Italian, like pizza. But yeah, it's been really interesting, especially when you have like a stray ingredient in the cupboard and you're like, oh, I don't know what to make with that. You just look it up in Cookidoo. Like say, like one time we had anchovies and we're like, oh, we're gonna eat. We made puttanesca. And it was
Puttanesca.
delicious. Yeah. And it was like all the stuff we had in the cupboards, didn't need anything fancy. So yeah, it just feels like you can really explore food across the world without
And
having
in
to
fact,
go
it's interesting
too,
you say that because I actually made puttanesca on Saturday.
yeah,
It is one of those, when you get off a plane and you have no ingredients and, you haven't gone
exactly.
to the supermarket yet or you haven't
Yeah.
had your delivery, but you have anchovies, capers, and olives, and you can make the most beautiful meal. And that's where I often see the time saving and the cost saving of Thermomix and turning ingredients when you have nothing. So, um, that's sauteed, and obviously we can see the steam coming off. So just turn it over, add my vegetables, chop, press next, and then step by step. So we're going to miss the chicken. Sadly, no chicken. And it's now 250 grams of potatoes. Now, it's interesting. It did say cut the potatoes in 1 centimeter cubes. And because obviously potatoes go yellow, I have put it in water. And luckily, because this is my own food and my own hands, I'm just going to drain it like that. Put that to the side. Now it says chicken stock, but I'm going to stay true again and again, just like Clarissa, I make my own stock. I'm going to embarrass Fiona. Fiona, did you make stock yet? No? That was what I told you to do last week, my darling.
I know. I'll be doing it over the weekend.
Okay. I want to see your stock picture. In fact,
Okay.
I want all pictures from everyone of making stock because stock is the first thing I tell people to make when they have a Thermomix. The reason why that is, again, it's additive free, it's got less salt, you know what's going into it, but one of the best things about Thermomix stock is you can just use all of those vegetables that you have at the bottom of the fridge that you didn't eat before they go very sad. Or I also peel my vegetables and put them in the freezer. So all the peelings, and when I have a big sort of Ziploc bag full of peelings, I then make stock. And so you're using waste in um, and things that you would normally throw away as well. So that's your stock seasoning. And again, you can see I'm freestyling um, with my salt, my pepper, and then it asks for 800 grams of water. And I'm just gonna do that. Press next. And it is now going to cook for 15 minutes. And after the 15 minutes, it's going to add the gherkins. So this is a wonderful point where we can actually take questions. And don't worry, I will cut the question part out of the recording. So if anybody does want to ask questions, feel free to turn on your camera and ask away because this is your.
Absolutely. Fab. So if I just have a look, see, this is what the soup kind of looks like at the moment. Like Ankita said, the smell that you get and it just fills the room. It's so warming. But I can still see some chunks of tomato, which is fine. So now we're gonna
Yeah, I might go.
blend.
I'm just going to catch the end of this and feed Sophia.
Good to see you, Javaria. Have a lovely evening. Now we're gonna blend. And goodness, you can't hear on the Zoom, but you hear sort of building of the blending. Quite satisfying actually. Let it blend for a minute. And we're gonna see that if you can still hear, yes, there's pads underneath the TM7 to stop it from moving. But it's very secure, even though it's on a kitchen island. About 25 seconds left.
Clarissa, I don't think your sound is working that well now. Your sound is not working as well. There's an echo. Okay.
There we go. And then that's it. Just waiting for the lid to unlock. And now we have a very smooth, creamy textured soup without any dairy. And yeah, it's a delicious one to enjoy. That's why it's one of our favorite recipes at home.
It is.
Thank you.
And what we're going to ask you to do is when you first serve your soup, if you could take a picture for me in portrait and landscape. And then when we do upload the video, we'll have both of those there and I will share Clarissa's socials with people as well. So I did a boo-boo, which is normal. When I opened it, I closed it, but I didn't press play. So I still have 56 minutes, 56 seconds of mine. But it just shows, no matter how long you've been a Thermomix owner, and mine's 17 years, it's quite forgiving. And that's what I like as a busy person, the nature of the forgiving nature of Thermomix, that you can stop and start and do various things with it as well. And again, in such a, wonderful, safe environment. So it's bubbling away. And I'm on step 12 of 16, but essentially the next step is to add the gherkins, add 100 grams of sour cream, and then we're going to cook for 10 minutes after that. But no one needs to, so we're going to press next. Add my gherkins, and you can see again, let me just remind you of how chopped the gherkins were. So they were, again, a couple of speeds. And I love this actually. I'm going to say I ran out of sour cream. So I actually went to the local supermarket and the only sour cream they had was actually Polish sour cream. So my Polish wife skills are really high today. No chicken and Polish sour cream. So 100 grams. And then it's cooked for 10 minutes. But I will let you all go, and I will send you a follow-up with the recipes we've cooked, the stock recipe. Tiffany, I'll find a butternut and carrot recipe that might be a good framework. And
Thank